but it is what it is. And like I said, we'll just deal with the next thing that comes. But I mean, it wasn't a shock for sure, and I came in mentally prepared for whatever was going to happen. So, like we're in it now, we're in it. So you know, what can we do? What are my options? I can either cower in the corner and pretend like I'm some kind of victim, which I am certainly not, or I can hold my head up high and I know who I am and I'm confident in who I am. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a real mixed bag. There we go.
Hi, Chris Dacey.
There's Chris Dacey. How are you? I'm so glad that you could come back on the show. For those of you at home who aren't watch or frequent consumer of Dacey media, Chris is an independent journalist based out of Ottawa who works really hard each week to document, well, all the comings and goings of Ottawa. But I think a lot of us know you from your coverage of the ongoing pro-Hamas radicals who take to the streets each week. We wanted to have you back on because you were one of the journalists excluded once again from the Mark Carney event the other day. Was that right?
I wasn't personally excluded. I did cover a lot of the people excluded. So I guess Rebel was excluded. Karima, who happens to be my attorney, was excluded.
That's where I saw it. That's right. I was on your X account, and then I saw you reposting her work. Now, tell us, were the Hamas radicals back again this weekend?
No. So actually this weekend, I think it may have been a planned weekend off because this upcoming weekend, we're going to have our usual Saturday hate march, but we're also going to have groups coming from Toronto and Montreal to join us. So this has happened a couple of times before and they were very large. So over the weekend, we didn't see the normal Saturday march. Also, there was a major incident at Parliament Hill over the weekend with a barricaded suspect. So the entire area of downtown was shut down around the time that they would have normally had their march. So perhaps the two things playing together, there was no march, but there's going to be one heck of a big one on Saturday. We're already getting prepared to cover it. So I'm going to be taking a few extra precautions for this one after the incident last time.
Yeah, please be careful, Chris. We know that these people will go to unprecedented lengths to shut down people like you watching what they're doing. And it's so important in this moment to be able to witness it as Canadians from the other part of the country. To see this happening is just unreal in Ottawa. It's unreal.
Yeah, and it's something that I've been watching happen, right, since every weekend, basically, or multiple times a week at times, since the October 7th attacks. And, you know, I've been showing this and showing this and showing this. And things have been getting more extreme. Like we've seen assaults, we've seen smoke, we've seen people intimidated and chased around and all kinds of things like that. And, you know, I was starting to wonder what it would take. And I guess it actually took me getting assaulted and police doing nothing. And thanks to your help and a lot of people sharing the story, people are actually really starting to see. The mayor has had to come out, the mayor of Ottawa, and respond. So it is getting some attention. I'm hoping that it'll make a difference as well.
Oh, that's great to hear. Hey, Chris, do we know what happened there with the shutdown? Just the other day with the barricaded lone guy?
Yeah, so a call came in around shortly after 2 p.m. It went out to everyone in Parliament to shelter in place. So what happened was a lone individual made their way into the East Block of Parliament. There was an abandoned vehicle on Wellington Street when I got there. So I don't know for sure, but what I imagine is that person left their vehicle and it was right in front of a man gate into Parliament. So they went in through the gate and they got into the security area in the East Block and they ended up barricaded inside the East Block. And there was a massive police response. You know, the area was shut down for blocks around. They had emergency crews, fire. They had police with their service carbines, robots. So they took the situation very, very seriously. It lasted about 8 hours, the standoff, and very little information coming out from Ottawa police. And even since, very little information from police, really, except for that a single suspect was eventually arrested without incident. I mean, the whole thing was an incident, but he was arrested without any major problem. And he's been charged with, I believe it's 2 counts, a 31-year-old man from Ottawa, 2 counts of breach of probation, 1 count of public mischief, and uttering threats to public property. So, I mean, those are kind of minor charges considering the entire downtown core was shut down for over 8 hours. No
But
name on the
but
suspect
you're telling
released.
you're telling us that the police actually can respond. Like they do have
Yeah.
the resources to be able to respond.
They're in
to
and
this.
around the Ottawa area, and they can respond to calls of violence. That's
Okay,
weird.
got it.
Yeah, instantly.
I look forward
Instantly.
to
That
this,
was a
guys.
major takeaway for me. Sorry, that was a major takeaway for me because I saw a completely capable and professional police force working on the weekend. Even their interactions with me were drastically different. You know, I came up to cover it, and there was an officer said I could go through to a certain area. Another officer told me, "Oh, you're in the cordon, please move." But people that I've had, you know, issues with at other protests, everything was professional. It seemed like everybody was doing their jobs, and as they should, right? This was what they thought was maybe a major threat. Also, though, quite concerning that this isn't the first time our parliament buildings have been breached. We had pro Palestinian protesters take over the Confederation building earlier this year. This year, I saw a guy go up the steps and almost get in the House of Commons, and now somebody actually breached the East Block. So, yes, there was a response, but there may be a bit of a security issue as well.
Well, I look forward to his three-year prosecution that
Right,
cost $10
exactly.
million. Can't wait to see that.
Now, speaking of 3-year prosecution costing $10 million, the real reason we wanted to have Chris on is because he got exclusive footage of Tamara Lich's real first public statements post her conviction for mischief and her acquittal on other charges. So tell us how that all came to be, that you were Johnny on the spot, ready to take, you know, Tamara's first real public statements, her first real visceral reaction to the judge's findings.
So this took place on Saturday in Ottawa at a restaurant that's been very supportive of freedom movement. I'd say in general, it hosts things even though they get attacked. They've been very supportive. So at KS on the Keys, was hosted. It was called an afternoon with Tamara Lich. Melissa McKee from Biker Search invited me. I tend to go to most of these things, but it was basically, you know, like I held about 60 people, 60 to 80 people. And it was a lunch, but with a chance for Tamara to speak and address what's happened for the first time, really, that she's been able to really speak publicly. She still does have to be very careful about what she has to say. She still has some more court dates ahead of her, sentencing hearings, and then the actual sentencing. So she was limited in what she could say, but she did have some what I think are some good messages of hope and unity for people. And she also touched on how this has been for her. Right, this is years she's been going through this, you know, over 40 days in court. It's been one long heck of a road, and it's lawfare, right? And it's still ongoing. So she spoke to that, and it was really nice to hear her be able to speak kind of from the heart and be able to give her thoughts on what's been going on.
Now, I wanted to ask you, you've covered this trial, I think, as closely almost as we have here at Rebel News. You've been around for a lot of the major milestones in the trial, as long as it has been. Were you personally surprised by the judge's findings? I know at Rebel News we were kind of optimistic, and Ezra is a former lawyer, so he has like a legal mind, and you know, like he feels like he can kind of read the tea leaves of the trial. And that morning I was quite optimistic until like halfway through the judge's ruling, and it was quite a long ruling, and I realized, oh dang, she's going to be convicted. What was your sense of the trial, and then, you know, the outcome? Were you sort of surprised the way we were?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not a legal expert. I'm kind of a layperson, but I have spent a lot of time in trials, not just this one, other ones. So I have a bit of an idea how these things go now. I mean, the whole trial experience itself was shocking. All of it was crazy. I mean, 40 days, the parade of witnesses, homicide detectives watching over things. You know, that whole part was quite shocking to me. As far as the decision, I was optimistic as well. I was somewhat surprised with the conviction for Tamara, honestly. You know, we were kind of waiting to hear the decision on the Carter application, which is basically so they could use evidence of Chris, say, against Tamara. And I kind of figured that if that application couldn't apply, that probably Tamara would be found not guilty of everything. I'm not shocked by the mischief for Tamara, the one guilty. It seems like the threshold or the standard now for being convicted of mischief is basically if you get charged. And that's very, very arbitrary, you know, who got charged, who didn't. So I was quite surprised for Tamara. As for Chris, I mean, I think there was maybe a little bit more evidence. I figured he'd probably get convicted of something. Bit more worry for Chris, as you guys know, Tamara spent a significant amount of time in jail prior to all of this. Chris didn't. So if it's anything like the other cases, I imagine the Crown's going to be asking for significant jail time, even with just the one or two convictions on what should be minor offenses. So I'm not shocked. I kind of thought it might go this way, and the government, they're not supposed to be involved in all this stuff, but people need their wins, right? If they get even one conviction on one of the more minor things, it wasn't intimidation, right? They can still use that to put their story forward and say we got to win, and these people are evil, and everyone adjacent to them is, and the usual stuff they do. So.
Now, before I let you go, I just want to give you the opportunity to let people know where they can find your good work. You're an independent journalist. You don't have big backers like the federal government to support the work that you do. You're out there largely by yourself. You're putting yourself in harm's way. How do people find you? How do people support you?
Yeah, so I guess all of my work now is going up onto X. So at Chris Dacey on X. If you follow me there, I'll leave a link. So if you want to support me more directly, you can do so by e-transfer to daceymedia@gmail.com, or through the Dacey Media merch is available exclusively on the Veterans for Freedom website. So at the Veterans for Freedom shop, you can get some Dacey Media merch as well if you're interested.
I think we need some Dacey Media merch. I think we're gonna.
Yes, we're gonna have to buy some.
I think we're gonna do some cross promotion here, Chris. Chris Dacey from Dacey Media. We love having you on here. Keep up the good work, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks so
Stay
much.
safe out there. Awesome. Thanks. We will actually. We talked about the work that Chris did to get the Tamara Lich story firsthand. Why don't we show a little bit of it right here? Tamara speaking.
But it is what it is, and like I said, we'll just deal with the next thing that comes. But I mean, it wasn't a shock for sure, and I came in mentally prepared for whatever was going to happen. So, we're in it now. We're in it. So what can we do? What are my options? I can either cower in the corner and pretend like I'm some kind of victim, which I am certainly not, or I can hold my head up high and I know who I am, and I'm confident in who I am. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you. Thank you.
She's a picture of grace considering the last 3 years of her life.
I would be full of guile. Like I would be just the bitterest, angriest person given and not even what I personally went through, but what my family was forced to go along with me through. And the impact that it has on your kids and everybody around you, and the personal costs, and just having them worry about you, I would be seething with anger. And she is completely the opposite. She's like, you know what? It's just a challenge put in her way. She seems okay.
She has more grace in her pinky finger than the entirety of our federal government combined.
Completely. Now, if people want to support Tamara, you can go to tamaratrial.com. That's your one-stop shop for everything to do with Tamara Lich. You can support our journalism of Tamara Lich on Tamara Trial. You'll find links to support her appeal of her conviction there.
It takes 10 seconds. It literally takes 10 seconds. Throw a couple bucks at the Democracy Fund. Thank you very much. And because this certainly is not done.
Yes. And you can also buy her book on the same website, Hold the Line, which is now, I guess, an illegal phrase.
Well, the Liberals are using it.
The Liberals are using it, so it's illegal when a conservative grandma from Alberta says it.
Want to stay on top of the latest current events, but don't trust the mainstream media to help you do that? Then check out our daily live stream coverage of the latest news and totally unscripted at rebelnews.com/roundup.